Hey Snapchat, I'm here in New York City, arrived for the MakeSpace board meeting, and I'm going to do a little Snapstorm on how to be a better networker. In this Snapstorm, I'm going to cover three types of networking: how to network with peers, how to network up, and how to network like a boss. The first thing I would tell you is networking is a discipline. It's got to be something you're committed to, and if you're good at this, it will improve your career overall. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the process. The analogy I like to give people is 50 coffee meetings. If you committed to just one coffee meeting per week, you'd have 50 per year, and imagine the connections you'd actually build. But most people don't, because they don't know who to network and they don't want to put themselves out there. So we think we want to build better networks, but people don't commit it to it. Just think 50. The bulk of your networking of your 50 coffee meetings should be people that are level appropriate. I'm going to tell you later how to network up, but keep it level appropriate. And what I mean, if I use me as an example, is I get requests all the time for basic career advice or basic fundraising advice. There's a lot more appropriate people you could go to for that. Or for example, if you want to meet other startup people, you probably don't want to meet the companies that are rocket ships, because those people are just going to have so many time burdens. When you do ask someone for a coffee meeting, make sure you ask for very specific advice you're going to want to cover. Make sure you give it a short time constraint and always travel to them. I recommend asking for a 30-minute meeting. I recommend bringing someone coffee and tell them, hey, I don't even mind coming in before work if that's easier for you. And the golden life lesson is that most people like helping other people. So if you're asking for help, it's such an easy way for people to say yes. Always send a thank you email. You'd be surprised how very few people are thankful for the time they actually do get. It's important in the long run to build more positive networks. And at the end of a year, if you've dedicated truly to meeting one person every single week, of the 50 people you meet, probably 5 will become permanent connections. Once you've met once, now you're a casual friend, but that doesn't give you the right to be best buds. So don't overdo it with too many emails. That's just creepy. Now I want to give you a tip on how to network up, to network with the people that probably you shouldn't bug for 50 coffee meetings. Organize a breakfast, lunch, or dinner and invite a power expert to come and speak. Then organize a crowd of people to come see them. If you take all the work out of someone you really want to meet out of the affair and you invite other interesting people to meet them, they'll always be grateful for it. And once you get someone on the hook, then you need to hustle like hell to make sure the other people who show up at that meal are interesting for them to meet. Never take the meal for granted. When I host meals like that, and I do this all the time, I always chair the discussion and make sure we have an interesting table topic. Always book a private room. Even if you're doing it somewhere not very expensive, private rooms mean that you can actually have a real conversation. But wait, you say, Mark, I can't afford this, and you can. Well, here's what I used to do. I used to organize the meeting, and once you have a great speaker, find a sponsor. Now it's time for my hack of how to network like a boss. The greatest power networkers I know actually run really large events, and they invite really high-profile speakers to come meet audiences. My buddy Jason Nazar, long before he became a well-known LA tech entrepreneur, used to run events for like 300 entrepreneurs and bag the biggest Silicon Valley speakers. The way I met my friend Derek Anderson is he has Startup Grind, and instead of inviting me to network, he invited me to come interview Clay Christensen, one of my heroes. He could have just called and said, oh, please come speak at my conference, but he didn't. He called and said, I've got your hero. Do you want to come interview him? And no big shock, after that, we got to know each other pretty well. I've spoke at several of his conferences, and I have him at all of mine. He's just been a great mensch. And I don't just say this, I practice what I preach. At our last big event, we had Magic, we had Kevin Spacey, we had the mayor. We try to deliver them audiences that we believe they want to meet. And then I don't try to act like they're best buds. I know that at some authentic time in the future when I come across them, I've earned the right now to be part of their network. And the strangest thing that's hard to describe to people, but when you've actually shared the stage with someone, when you've interviewed someone, there's a rapport there that's hard to replicate.